Okay, quick thing before I start. For the record, I am still alive. Sorry I haven't done anything for a while. I do have a co-op in the works right now. I'm not going to say who it's with or who it's on because I want that to be a surprise, but life's kind of kept both me and my co-op partner busy, so we haven't had much time to work on it for a while. Along with it more than likely going to be the biggest project I've done as of now. So I found this video to hold everyone off until said co-op is done. With all that said, yes, I am back after 3 months of absolutely nothing. I bet none of you missed me.
You guys are jerks.
Anyway, on to the topic of today's video. Meet HDTV, a PokeTuber who does countdowns, discussions, and Let's Plays on, well, Pokemon, obviously. Anywho, he made a video about the top 5 mistyped Pokemon in Sun and Moon. Or top 5 typings that make no sense. Whatever. Now, with all that said, let's start.
Starting things off and claiming the number 5 spot in today's top 5 video is Golisopod. Golisopod is a large, menacing arthropod Pokemon in a hunched-over, humanoid posture. It has a light purplish inner body generously armored with a silvery exoskeleton. Golisopod's bright purple antennae converge with its mouthparts on the front of its relatively small head, forming a sort of mask between its 2 eyes. Golisopod is a dual typing of water and bug, and I can see why its pre-evolution Wimpod has this typing, but Golisopod is said to be based on the giant isopod with the armor of a samurai.
Well, yeah, giant isopods are more often than not found in the depths of the ocean, along with Golisopod's Pokédex entry stating that it lives in similar areas to its real-life counterpart. Granted, there are isopods that do live on land, such as the woodlouse, but the giant isopod is an ocean-dwelling creature and does not fall into that category. Also, the armor of a samurai thing seems more to demonstrate how strong Golisopod's armor is, but we still have a bit more regarding the samurai motif, so let's hear him out.
The armor of a samurai particularly jumps out at me, and because of this, I feel that this new Pokemon should have been a dual typing of Bug and Dark, seeing as there's not really any correlation between a samurai and water. This typing would have made more sense to seeing as Golisopod can already learn a handful of Dark type moves, such as Sucker Punch, Fling, Payback, Taunt, Snarl, and Dark Pulse. I really do think that a dual typing of Bug and Dark would have been really cool to see on this Pokemon.
That's kinda broad. So basically it should be Dark because Samurai, lol funny meme, and it knows a few Dark type moves. Okay, first, how does Samurai directly lead to Dark? You never give anything further on this. Second, this could be easily stretched and used when talking about other types of moves Golisopod learns. For example, it learns quite a few fighting moves, and Samurai's fight, so by that logic, shouldn't it be a fighting type? Personally, I still think its original typing is fine, but I'm honestly confused on, out of all possibilities, why you specifically chose Dark. With other potential typings, it'd at least be good to elaborate on why you think it should be Bug Dark specifically.
Coming in at the number 4 spot in today's top 5 video is Lurantis. Lurantis is an insectoid Pokemon with some plant-like features. The top half of its head is pink, while the bottom half is white. It has light red eyes and 2 green antennae with a small green lump between them. There are 4 extensions to the top half of its head, 2 on the top with red tips that resemble ears, and 1 on each side with white tips that are similar to stylized hair. Now, Lurantis is a pure grass-type Pokemon, and I really cannot see why. It is based off an orchid mantis, so why is this Pokemon not a bug-type when it's literally an insect? Lurantis even gets access to a bunch of bug-type moves, such as Leech Life, X-Scissor, and Fury Cutter.
Yeah, a bunch of bug-type moves. Even though those are the only 3 bug-type moves it learns. Oh dear.
But that's not even the main problem. Its design even looks like a bug too. There's so many similarities between this Pokemon and an insect that I can't really see any reason why Game Freak decided to go with a grass typing for this Pokemon instead. It really boggles my mind.
It's a strange concept, I agree with you that much, but it's not as convoluted as you're making it out to be. First off, yes, there is inspiration of the Orchid Mantis, but let's look at Lurantis' pre-evolution Fomantis, whose name is derived from the word faux as in false and mantis. Basically, the line is meant to be a silly twist of its real-life counterpart, but instead of an animal that looks like a plant, you're getting a plant that looks like an animal. Kinda similar to how Sudowoodo imitates a tree despite it being made of rock. Also, while this is more of a side tangent, another reason why Lurantis might not be a dual grass bug is because it could severely cripple it type-wise. First off, both grass and bug share the same common weaknesses of fire and flying, which the grass bug typing would have made Lurantis 4 times weak to those types as opposed to the normal 2 times. Also, it would not negate other existing weaknesses like poison or ice, and would possibly add a weakness to rock, which without bug type, Lurantis would more than likely have a good advantage against. Granted, it's still a grass type, but the problem still lies. Looking at this, I think it'd be better if Lurantis stayed a fake ironic Mantis flower creature.
I was recording that for my ringtone, god damn it!
Now, believe it or not, but this Pokemon is actually a dual typing of Poison and Rock. Yes, you heard it, Poison and Rock. This jellyfish is Poison and Rock. Fair enough, I get where the poison type comes from, seeing as some jellyfish have millions of very small stinging cells in their tentacles called nematocysts. These cells are used to capture food by injecting toxin into the prey. But the rock type? Surely it would have made much more sense for Game Freak to make this Pokemon a dual typing of water and poison instead. You know, since jellyfish actually live in water.
You know, except Neoligo's not meant to be a normal jellyfish. But onto the point, its body, particularly the hat area, has a glassy appearance and a somewhat gem or jewel-like appearance to it, which could be where the rock typing comes from. Alongside this, one of the rock type moves Neoligo can learn is Power Gem, which kinda supports this idea. Also, going back to my original note regarding this segment, another possible reason why Neoligo is the way it is to show how the Ultra Beasts are not like normal Pokemon, seeing how Neoligo is the first Ultra Beast you see in the game, and shows you how these Pokemon are more otherworldly and do not fit well with normal logic.
Coming at the number 2 spot in today's top 5 video, we have another Ultra Beast, Pheromosa. Pheromosa is an Ultra Beast mostly resembling an anthropomorphic feminine cockroach. It has a thin build and is mostly white. It has a segmented body having 5 segments dividing its torso. Pheromosa has a long and narrow neck and a small semicircular face. It has narrow white eyes with a purple iris and blue pupils. Pheromosa has long, thin legs suited for running and kicking, with golden pads at the joints. Its feet consist of 2 twin-like structures, rather resembling high-heel shoes. Now, just like Buzzwole, Pheromosa is a dual typing of bug and fighting. And fair enough, I can see why Buzzwole has this typing. It's buff as hell. But Pheromosa? I understand the bug typing, seeing as it's based off a feminine cockroach, but this Pokemon doesn't really strike me as the fighting type. To me, a much more suitable typing for this Pokemon would have been a dual typing of Bug and Fairy.
Despite it not learning a single fairy move.
Or Bug and Psychic.
Despite the only psychic moves it learns being Agility and Speed Swap, both being stat-changing moves revolving around speed, along with it learning Rest via TM.
Especially because this Pokemon's design is tailored much more to these typings, instead of the bug and fighting that it actually got.
Okay, now that that's finished, allow me to look into all of this and make the point I've been wanting to make. For starters, let's look at Pheromosa compared to Buzzwole. Ignoring that they're both insects and contrast masculine and feminine, what are the most defining features of these two Pokemon? For Buzzwole, obviously its muscular arms good for punching and throwing. For Pheromosa, well, you said it yourself in your own video.
Pheromosa has long, thin legs suited for running and kicking, with golden pads at the joints.
How did you let that slide? Adding on to this, most of the fighting moves that Pheromosa learns naturally are attacks that are based on kicking, along with it learning the attack Low Sweep via TM. Again, all of this goes back to it being the exact opposite of Buzzwole, and it in some way makes sense if you look at it from this concept. So after this, he shows his number 1 choice, which is Lycanroc Midnight form. I really don't have anything to say about that segment, so I'll move on to my final thoughts. Trust me, it isn't the worst Pokemon video I've seen, but good sweet lord, the problems are still there. Most of the problems you had with these Pokemon more than likely wouldn't exist if you had just sat down and thought about the Pokemon a bit more, or looked deeper into what they're about other than what they have on the surface. Even with this though, it doesn't help that at times, you outright gave the reasons why said Pokemon have their types, like Golisopod being a giant isopod, and Pheromosa's legs being good for running and kicking without saying,
"Hey, you know, there might be something important about this information."
All I guess I can say is to make sure you have the proper information you need when discussing topics like this and look into the lore that you find, since it could play an important point into the discussion at hand. And in the chance you do watch this, please don't take this video as something made out of spite. I've seen a few of your videos and overall I don't think you're a bad YouTuber. It's just that this video had some flaws that I wanted to point out. So, did I miss anything important that I should know about? Yeah, time to disappear for another 3 months. Later!